Hey everybody, welcome to the Patty G Show. We are back for another amazing episode. This week we have none other than Jay Bennett of Bennett Ski School. He is in the chair, but not only Jay, we have Hannah, the world #1 all-around skier in the world, and we have their amazing media director, Tony Lightfoot, in the studio as well. We talk all things skiing. How do you build a world-renowned facility in Zachary, Louisiana, on a retired catfish farm? That's not Louisiana. I don't know what is. But we go within Jay's history of the ski school and how they created this amazing facility and have survived 50-plus years in business. Truly incredible, as well as learn a little bit more about what they have upcoming this June 8th called Night Jam. It's their 3rd annual family fun, family-filled, extreme water sports activity, obviously taking place at night. So we're going to dive into the episode, but before we do that, I want to give a big, wonderful shout-out and thank you to the folks that bring you this show each and every week. Falaya Real Estate, Lake Men's Health Center, Horizon Financial Group, and Gage. Without further ado, enjoy the show.
Yeah, it's a tough world with me doing so many events since 1984. And so a lot of people that I had sponsors, they're not the CEOs of the companies anymore. My connections are retired. Some of them are dead. It's true.
Yeah, you've made the full circle.
Yeah,
as the one still standing.
And when you're dealing with a company like Mastercraft, it's an IPO company.
Right.
They're flipping CEOs every 4 or 5 years, so you really don't have a grip on upper management. So you're dealing with middle management all the time, which marketing people are good people. But at the end of the day, they can propose a budget, but they don't call. They can't say, yes, we can, no, we can't. So it's a game I'm kind of tired of.
So, and then what's y'all's involvement in all of this?
Well, my involvement is in this endeavor here. I've been with the ski school, and I've known Jay for Lord knows how many years. You know, I've been originally a student, and then it kind of worked on to being an instructor, driver, or what have you. You know, and you know.
You wear a lot of hats, Tony.
Yeah, I probably too many that for most people to tolerate, but yeah. Kind of like a media liaison of sorts, you know, done the press release and all of the video, all of the podcasting type stuff, you know, and ultimately when the event starts, I'm the ringmaster, the announcer for the deal, you know.
Well, you've worked in media since you graduated.
Yeah, from
with all the different TV stations, radio stations, and now they do their own deal. So.
Yep.
I love it.
Now, the person to the right of you is someone a heck of a lot more accomplished in the sport than I'll ever be, because she is world overall women's champion and also the women's jump champion of the world, and looking to try and get the world record as well.
If you win Night Jam, how many years in a row have you won it? 3?
Well, I've skied 2.
So the Pro Tour that we were talking about, that creates points based on winning.
Mm-hmm.
She's won the Pro Tour the last 3 years.
The whole tour.
Right. The end of the year point total, she's won the. Yeah.
She's the world's #1 active jumper right now.
Yeah, I'll be the one skiing in that upcoming Night Jam. So I'm very excited about it.
That's fun. So how'd you get started in skiing and jumping specifically?
Yeah, I'm originally from Belarus, so my parents sent me to a ski school. I fell in love with it and was good enough to advance fast. So coaches saw me, picked me, and that's how it all started. And then I went to undergrad back home, and then I did my master's at ULM in Monroe. Was on a ski team. We won 2 collegiate national titles, and then I ended up being at Jay's in Zachary. being an instructor and an athlete.
So you attract some pretty good talent there, Jay.
That's the point. You got to have a good eye, just like a baseball, football coach. You got to have a good eye for the talent. She was pretty talented when we saw her at first, but she's come a long way.
So when did you get first started with the ski school itself?
Yeah, I started pretty young. We started our water ski school. My wife and I started our water ski school on a body of water called False River.
Know it? Been there?
Yeah, I grew up there. And I had a vision of what we would need to do. And we knew we needed to get off public water eventually. So at 24 years of age, we started building the facility that we're at now called Tri-Lakes. And we had two other couples that were interested in water skiing, but not from a business standpoint, from a family participation standpoint. And one of the partners actually found this piece of property. And it's kind of funny. It's interesting to some people, but it was in a hard-year floodplain. It is in a hard-year floodplain. It was an old abandoned catfish farm, and I was able to sit down with the realtor. It wasn't for sale. Ask him if he'd be interested in selling it. One thing went to another. It's kind of hilarious when you look back at it, because I was 24 years old negotiating with a established realtor. He said, what do you want to do with it? I said, we want to build water ski lakes. He said, what are you going to do with the water ski lakes? I said, we're going to run a ski school. He had no idea that we'd kind of established that. And he says, well, do you have any money? And the answer was absolutely no. He says, well, how do you think you're going to pay for it? And I said, well, I thought maybe you'd consider owner financing. And, looking at me like I was not the smartest guy on the block. And he goes, well, do you have any money for a down payment? I said, yes, sir, we do. So how much you got? I said, we got $30,000 between three families. Now he's punching on his calculator.
Right.
I'm out of aces, and he's working on interest rates and how many years. So he came back with us. He's a really nice guy, still an active realtor. And I think he came back with a pretty high interest rate for back then. And said, okay, we agreed to it. That's how we got started. And in view of him, years and years later, becoming a businessman, he really had nothing to lose. It was nothing we could hurt out there. He took $30,000, and if we fell on our head a month later or a year later, he's still up.
He still got 30 grand.
Yeah. So that's how it worked.
So at False River, I know it's probably totally different than it is today.
Completely.
Not near as many camps or houses on the water, and was probably a proper ski lake.
Yeah.
Whereas now, if you're not skiing from sunrise to an hour to 2 hours after, you're not going to ski at all in that lake.
Well, because my family's in the boat business, we're real familiar with what goes on there. When I grew up out there, we literally had a camp that was built out of homemade materials, a true camp. Now, all you see is really nice homes, real nice boathouses, and fortunately, a lot of Mastercraft boats in those boathouses. So, yeah, it's changed tremendously. Probably the biggest thing besides the housing is it's pretty much nothing but seawalls all the way around. So the seawalls really create a lot of what we call backwash. So the wave hits the seawall, comes back out into the lake, bigger than what it was when it came off the boat. So you end up with a bathtub effect, and it makes it kind of hard unless you do what you say. Go out early in the morning and do it before it gets so rolly.
So at the design of the lakes at Bennett's, y'all have changed that since the catfish farm days, I'd imagine?
Yeah. Big portion of what private man-made lakes all over the world do is in the design. So you have a very gentle slope, and so the water breaks in the shallow water and rolls up on the bank. So you can run a boat down the lake and come back in that same path, and everything will be nice and smooth. And that's common in the world we live in now. When we started building those private man-made lakes, I think in the United States, the best that I can recall, we were probably third in line in doing that. Out in California, they'd already done it. A guy down in Florida was building a facility for a ski school, and so we were about third or so in doing that. Now they're everywhere. But mainly They're real estate developments with houses all the way around it. And the people who buy the lots buy it for the sole purpose of being able to do the kind of skiing that we coach and teach every day.
Which is not just normal skiing. Y'all coach different varieties of skiing.
What we've had to do is diversify a lot. When we first started, it was strictly competition water skiers. Now we do just about every area of water sports you can imagine. Recreational skiing is really big with kids camps for us this time of the year. We started the 5th of February with 16 students from Japan. All through the spring, we have international business, and collegiate teams are very big in water skiing. That's where our most growth is in college skiing. So we do a lot of teams from the Midwest. And then we get into the next portion is international business and people that are snowbirds wanting to get a start on the season. And now we're into the summer camp programs.
Okay, so for the international students, y'all house them on site, or?
We have 5 cottages.
Okay.
And they rent the cottages. And then we have a dormitory with 32 beds.
Okay.
But our normal, if we're at full capacity with the ski school, we run about 26 students.
Okay, so
on 3 lakes.
And y'all are just running them all all day long.
Yeah.
So now how are the lakes broken up from? Is it all just same style lakes, or is it individual lakes for individual tasks?
3 of them, but they're separate from each other.
Okay.
So depending on what the discipline is we're teaching, depends on what lake the student goes to. So we have one lake that has a lot of beginner, and we call it Learn To. It can be learning to ski, learning to wakeboard, learn to slalom, learn to barefoot, anything Learn To. And then we have one lake that's predominantly for slalom and wakeboarding, and then we have the other lake is predominantly for tricks and jumping, where we have 3 different jumps on that lake, from small jumps to bigger jumps. And so we teach water ski jumping in a graduated approach.
Welcome to the brand new Falaya mobile app. We took all the same tech that's helped hundreds of people sell their homes themselves and packed it into an easy-to-use app for your phone. When you download the Falaya mobile app on either the Apple or Android App Store, you'll immediately be able to see the power of this game-changing tool. From the seller's dashboard, you can navigate to all the information that you need. We intentionally separated everything into key groups, such as tasks to be completed, buyer leads for your listing, and contact information for everyone involved through closing. When you get an offer on your property, you can simply review and respond all within the app. No matter where you are in the world, you'll be able to monitor everything that's going on with your property from listed to sold. It's truly the power of Falaya in the palm of your hand. Download the app and see for yourself. Falaya, it's real estate reimagined.
Okay, so walk us through the life cycle, I guess, and you can even speak to this from your history of with the sport. Where did you start? What age were you? And how long did it take you to get to what you're doing now?
Well, I started when I was 7, so I've been doing it for more than 20 years. It's a little different here in the United States. Many people start when they are in college, so they are like grown-ups. Or some people start when they're even older, you know. For me, it was kind of professional right away. So our ski school back home, like once you signed up, you gotta work hard. You have a schedule. You gotta show up, and you gotta compete and win the tournaments. That's why I guess I'm that good. Because
You're number 1?
Because they were asked, like we were asked to ski good, to improve, and to win medals. Most of the people here in the United States do it recreationally for like their fitness, for their well-being.
For you, it created discipline at a young age, and that filtered over in her becoming a pro, because she does all the things you're supposed to do, any pro athlete would do. Our sport's no different. Matter of fact, our sport is really hard on you physically.
It is.
So she's in the swimming pool, she is in the gym, she's in CrossFit, and she's on the water. And it's pretty much year-round. I coach her. We work together almost every day. Take a little bit of time off in the winter, and then we have to travel. And you never know where you're going based on where the event is. But the discipline that she learned at a young age has been a big portion of why she's where she is and the titles that she's won.
So how many events do they have around the country? I guess it sounds like y'all go international as well with the traveling and the events that y'all participate in.
I think it's fair to say about 8 to 10 for her, huh?
Yeah, I think last year I had like 10 or 12 events.
Yeah. His schedule's a little bit different because we have 3 disciplines, and there's quite a few international slalom events, so he travels abroad a lot more than we do.
Okay.
Yeah. I do upwards of about 17 events and announce for every single one of those events on the Water Ski Pro Tour, which is a webcast on TWBC.
Oh, so you're the actual announcer for the events as well?
Yeah.
How'd you get that gig?
Well, a long story. I'm guessing you may want to hear it. Well, I figured I started in about 2010 with TWBC because I saw that there was a gap that wasn't being filled so far as water coverage of water ski events was concerned. I mean, the sport was in real limbo at that point, and I wanted to try and expose the sport at all levels as far as I can take it. And in 2010, we're armed with just a little TriCaster and about 3 cameras. TWBC was born.
I think the cool thing about what Tony's done, same thing with what an athlete does, the commitment and discipline to be the very best with it. Tony has a passion for our sport that's none other. You put a microphone in his hand, and he can go 24/7 as many days as you ask him. And he can get just excited about watching a junior event as he can at a pro event. He's very unique in that way. Just his motor never quits running.
Yeah, especially during national championships, which will be taking place over in California in the searing heat of Bakersfield. So you can imagine 6 straight days, 12-hour days. That's basically me.
Yeah.
And so y'all are running all day, all different man-made lakes for 12 hours at a day?
Yeah,
At a
absolutely.
national event.
Yeah, I
Because
mean,
you have all divisions from the junior kids all the way through people 70 and over.
Wow.
Yeah.
yeah. And I mean, we've actually got people from within our region, the South Central region, and a couple of representatives from there. One representative in particular is this guy's name is Elgin Faulkner. He's a men's 10, and this guy is like
He just turned 95.
he turned 95.
Yeah.
95 and still skiing.
Yeah.
And what events is he competing in?
All 3,
He's
or
not- he's
as
not-
far, or as
he's not
far
a-
as he's able to.
Yeah, he's not attempting jump anymore. But
At 95, it's probably a
he
smart move.
continued to try up to pretty close to 90, though. He really did.
Wow.
And but he tricks and slaloms.
That's
So
insane
it's
to me.
pretty incredible. But they have division ages is what he's getting to. And even on a world level, it's amateur skiing, but they have world championships for all these different divisions also.
Yeah, and I'll be heading to the Junior World Championships to announce that, and probably next year I get to do the Elite World Championships as I did the last year, as I also did the U21s as well. I did that last year as well in Mexico.
That's incredible. So, I mean, when I think of skiing, or I guess that average person thinks of skiing, they just think of the slaloming or the 2 skis, but there's a whole variety of different tiers and different components to the sport. How many different divisions and different ski types are there?
Most of our focus is in what we call 3-event skiing.
Okay.
So those 3 events where Hannah's the world overall champion, she competed in slalom skiing, trick skiing, where it's acrobatics on water basically, and jumping, which is for distance. Slalom is a combination of the most amount of buoys at the shorter rope length at the same speed, but the rope gets shorter every time you make a pass. So her strength is, I think the last 3 years in a row, she has been the #1 skier in overall on the world standings list, and also jump. She's known as a jumper. She loves jumping, but she's also the best overall skier. So being an overall skier back in the day when I skied, it's very easy to understand. You're doing 3 events. You're not doing 1 event.
Right.
Now, in world level of professional competition, most everyone is specializing. in trick skiing or slalom skiing. And there's not that many people specialize in jumping like she does. But to do overall, being the best in all three, that's still, to me, the ultimate challenge, the ultimate thing to conquer.
And you can tell that there are 3 events, and it's called water skiing, but you can consider it kind of different sports, because there are people who can slalom, they get up on a trick ski and they cannot do anything. So it's so much different from each other. It's like doing 3 different sports.
Yeah.
So how do you, and I'm curious to get the coaching take on it too, how do you work through that as the athlete, essentially competing in 3 different sports? I mean, what does that training look like? Because I imagine, I've never seen a trick ski or a jump ski in person, but I've seen like my wife slaloms, and so I'm familiar with that ski. What is the difference in the gear that you're using for each different sport?
Yeah, or it's completely different. Slalom ski is a long, narrow ski. Trick ski is a short, right?
No fins.
No fins,
No
kind of like
fins.
a
Yeah. A slalom
small wakeboard, you know.
A
And
slalom
jump
ski
skis
is-
are big, 2 skis, 88 inches, heavy.
Yeah.
So it's
You'd be
it's a
amazed
lot
to
of
see.
equipment.
And you'd be amazed to see the jump skis that this little lady jumps on 88-inch skis.
That's tall.
Yeah.
Yeah, you try traveling with those on the airlines.
Yeah, does that fit as a third bag? You know, for Southwest, what do they do?
And then you move into other areas of the sport, of water sports, basically. Mm-hmm. And like at the ski school, we have a lot of combination this time of the year of slalom and wakeboarding. So a lot of the kids love wakeboarding. And then recreationally, surf has become a big deal. Mm-hmm. So a lot of the boats that our family sells out there is for surf-orientated people. And the boats are set up to be able to do the surfing. But our heart is 3-event skiing, always will be, and especially overall.
Yeah. When the for the surfing, where you're trying to make a big wake, how does that impact the runs at the school?
The bigger the wake behind the boat, the harder the impact of the wake on the banks. So we have sand most everywhere, or we have stones. But it is twice a year we do have to do some bank work from the erosion, because the boats start running in the morning. Plus they do all the service work. You take a boat out of the shop, and the best way to make sure it's working is put it in the lake and run it, which is a great advantage for a boat business to have the lakes there to run the boats. So there's always a boat running from 7 to dark. So what you're inquiring about is how much wear and tear on the banks. So we do have to rework them a couple of times a year.
And so the surfing's becoming more of a commonality, I guess. At what point in time did you see that shift in the market to surfing? Because for me, it was like maybe 5 or 8 years.
I would say that's
popular.
I would say that's a good equation, 5 to 8 years ago, and there's a reason for it. In my personal opinion, the boats and the equipment now have mechanisms on it to create a surf wake, whether you're left foot forward or right foot forward, and the surf wake gets a person out there, and you're going at about 11 mile an hour. So when you fall off the board, you don't usually have a high impact fall, but you're still doing something that takes strength and balance, and you're doing a recreational event that's fun. So a lot of older people, and kids surf too, but a lot of older people have moved towards surfing because they still want to stay active, still want to be out on the water with the family, and it's something they can do without getting injured.
Right. Yeah, it's a fun, different sport that's not as popular, I guess, but at Falls River, I feel like that's what everybody's doing now. It's just
exactly
wake surfing.
And at the end of the day, it's about majority of what goes on in the boating world, especially with the specialized boats, is family fun. It's not about competition.
Yeah. Unless you get a competitive family.
Well,
they
we
want
like
to compete
those.
with each other.
And we like those. We want those people too, but it's mostly about just being out on the water and having a good time.
This episode is proudly presented by Gage. Gage is a local company here in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. For over 40 years, Gage has provided businesses with the very best telecommunications, IT, and standby power services available. Gage has a variety of services, including Gage Cloud Voice. It is the last phone system your business will ever need. You need to give your business the ability to be accessible anytime, anywhere, and with Gage's cloud-based phone system, you'll be able to accomplish just that. Not only do they have Gage Cloud Voice, they have fully managed IT services that are proactive network monitoring, 24/7, 365, help desk, business continuity. They are there for you. What you're also going to need is some cybersecurity. Gage is there to safeguard your business from potential cyber threats, even when you aren't aware they exist. Gage also is power and leaders in standby generators. They are the #1 Cummins dealer on the Gulf Coast and provide generators to homes and businesses of any size so you can keep life going. Gage, better connected, a proud sponsor of the Patty G Show. So from a popularity, how have y'all seen it shift? I know y'all are on year 3 of y'all's event at the school, but how have you seen the recreational side come back? I imagine COVID probably had a big spike where people got interested because it was an outdoor activity. Has that maintained, plateaued, dropped?
We were established for a long period of time, and through the course of all these business years, and this is our 48th year to be in business. So through the course of establishing different clientele, we'd got into the summer camp promotions with the kids. So it was pretty strong. When COVID hit, there was really, everybody was looking for outside events. So the demand there was a situation where we really couldn't get all the kids into camp that wanted to come because we only can take 26 a week. So you did see a big spike in it. But to ask, is it still holding there? I'd say yeah. What happens with us is word of mouth's our best advertising.
Right.
So those group of kids that came through the COVID years are still coming back with their friends. And they do age out. You know, you get to a point where you're 17, 18, 19 years old, you're too cool to go to summer camp. And then, but that's only about 40% of our clientele. We do older grown-ups most of the time, except for 2.5 months out of the year. So that's kind of how it works.
And what do the camp ages range?
What's that?
The campers' age, what do they range?
Pretty much 8 to 14, 15, right in
so
there.
Eight's kind of that entry level?
Yeah. Yeah, we've got some. That's a great question. It's always asked. My wife is the one who does all the bookings, and she's always questioned, I'd rather just go at 10. But in our situation, it's a room and board or non-room and board.
Okay.
So if they're younger, we always say, hey, maybe let's get them started in the school, non-room and board, let them go home, get a good night's rest, bring them back the next morning, and then they trend into being a camper, a room and board camper as the years go by. But I've seen 8-year-olds that are perfectly fine being away from home, and 12-year-olds that are staying out there just crater the first night, wanting to go home.
Oh, yeah.
So I don't know that age is that big of a difference versus on the child itself and how they are with their family and how they're raised. So,
yeah, because I'm curious because my wife's family are big skiers, and they have a rule: if you come to the lake, everybody has to ski, or
Perfect.
you have to at least try to ski.
yeah, perfect.
You know, you can get your 2 skis, and you can give it a go. Like even I like to wakeboard, and so they even told me when I first went there, no, you got to ski, Patrick. And so I'm like, okay, fine, I'll figure this out.
That is amazing because that's the policy at our ski school.
Yeah.
And there's a reason for it. There's
Okay.
a reason for it. And it's coordination and balance. And if you can do the 2 skis well, then transition to a wakeboard is easier. So
Yeah.
we have a reason for why we do that. But that's pretty neat that's the family requirements. It's right in line with our thinking with the ski school.
Yeah, I don't think theirs is for that particular. I think it's more for them a rite of passage.
Yeah.
But for me, I wasn't ever a fan of the 2 skis.
Yeah.
I would always have to slalom or do the wakeboard.
Yeah.
I just didn't like the ability to separate. Always made me nervous.
Yeah.
So for them, they start them at I think 8 or 9 is when they start training them and teaching them how to ski.
Yeah.
So it sounds right in line with what y'all do at the
Yeah,
school.
because you know the number one thing that we tell the parents: does the child want to be there, or do you want the child to be there? Because if the child doesn't want to be there, we can't punish them. We can't make them ski. They've got to want to be there, and that's the number one thing we ask all the parents when they're at a young age. And it works out really well because it keeps us from having an awful lot of trouble. If they don't want to be there, it's really hard on the kid. It's really hard on us. And the family not happy because they're not doing what they're supposed to do. So that's kind of our rule 1 on page 1.
Well, and you've got the limitation of how many campers you can take in a given year. So if you've got a kid that doesn't want to be there, you've got that many more who want to.
Well, the flip side of that is we love to get them started young, because the younger they are, the more they can progress. But it's not good if they don't want to be there.
So the upcoming event y'all have, which will probably be 2 days after this airs, how did this come about? How did y'all create this event?
Well, with our facility, it was designed, to do competition water skiing back in the 80s. We started doing pro events out there in 1984. So as things revolved and things changed, we decided night gym was originated for a purpose. That purpose was for attendance. Think about it kind of like as a dinner and a movie.
Okay.
Families are going to go out in their boat during the day. They're going to take care of things they need to take care at home. They're going to fix their garden. There's a million different things, because in the world we live in today, normally both parents are working, so their weekend time is very precious. So the purpose of bringing it underneath the lights in a stadium-type setting is when you finish doing all the things you want to do for that day and you're looking for an entertainment venue, you're looking for a dinner and a movie, that's what we create. So it's an extreme water sports event based around $27,000 in prize money for pro jumping. But you'll see hot air balloons. We have things out there for the kids. We have these thumper noise makers they get right when they come in the gate. We have a bouncy castle. We have a slide. We have a Budweiser stage that will have music and entertainment. And so it's about a 3-hour show. We open the gates at 5:30, and we're normally done by about 11:30. So the cool thing about it is to try to have entertainment for that 3 hours, bam, 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 where there's something for everybody to enjoy. Very family friendly, and that's the way we roll with it. So we went to the nighttime event so that we would be able to give people something to do in the evenings, and it's paid big dividends because we get nice crowds. So that's kind of the backing of what happened with it.
And it's a good draw for the world's top athletes as well to come from all over the world as well, because they really love to perform in front of a crowd, especially an enthusiastic crowd that we typically get in our little part of the world that is Zachary.
Yeah. So how many countries do y'all know are going to be represented this year?
I would say somewhere between six or seven countries from across the world. I have a few friends from the United Kingdom coming over to compete in this event as well, and they come from all over, and it's not because of the event, but it's because of the reputation of our venue as well as being one of the premier jump sites in all of the world.
Pro skiers are truly international. It's not just skiers from U.S. Just thinking about the ones that are coming, you hit it on the head. Italy, Canada, United Kingdom, Russia, Belarus. Yeah, a lot of different places.
So how do y'all, you said top ski places in the world, how do y'all rank up in the list?
Of course, we're proud of what we built and the reputation we have. But based on numbers, and going back to the ski school, it's the largest in the country, largest in the world.
Wow.
By the numbers we do, it is. Building it from ground up with some really good partners that were very tournament orientated. Our group of people all judge the events at a very high level. Most of our family people, one of our families is not part of the facility out there anymore. One of my partners, he's the chief announcer for all the big tournaments all over. Nikki Lee is one of my partners. She's like the go-to chief judge for the majority of the pro events. So we're very lucky to have the kind of talent we have out there. There's so many very high criterias to put on an event like that with certain amount of equipment. Like this beautiful room you have here, all the nice equipment for a podcast. We have to have all of this type of equipment, electronically equipment in our judges tower to be able to do an event like that.
So I'm curious from a tech gear standpoint, do y'all have out at the lake for this event under the lights? I mean, you got to have a serious amount of technology out there for this.
It is a lot more than. I'm the grass cutter, not the tech guy. Okay, yeah. But I can tell you this in simple terms: they have cameras up on very high poles, and when that water skier comes off the jump and lands, it takes a picture of that landing and goes back into the computer with a program that triangulates the distance, and that's how we come up with the distance. And so it's very technical.
To within 1/10 of a meter.
Yeah.
1/10 of a meter?
Yeah.
Holy smokes.
Yeah.
We had a situation last year in last year's night jam where actually the third place competitor, I think either second or third place competitors, there was a 4-way tie for a jump of about, what was it, like about a 68 meter jump with, 222 feet. You had tied for within 10 centimeters,
which is very unusual.
So what do you do?
Well, if the tide still existed right the way through to the end, then they would have had to have jumped off. But thankfully, the winner, last year's winner in the men's jump event, who unfortunately will not be competing this year because he's battling an injury, actually out jumped that distance and took the title. And the tie for second place was resolved with a backup jump from the previous round.
There are layers of very strict rules that the officials that are working the event have to follow, and that's part of the technology also. So.
Imagine taxiing on a plane looking toward the end of the runway. It seems so far away, it's even hard to see it. And that's what the concept of retirement probably felt like when you were in your 20s, 30s, and 40s, way far in the distance, not visible or even a concern. But as you turn 50, something happens. Retirement suddenly seems like something real, something not too far away. In your 50s, you are rolling down the runway. Retirement is getting closer and closer, faster and faster, weeks and months zipping by. But are you even ready for a successful takeoff to retirement? Fear not, there's still runway left. But the time is now. Time to make progress and time to get a plan. The Runway Decade will help you get organized, get energized, and give you the direction you need to take off to your desired retirement. The Runway Decade, building a pre-retirement flight plan in your 50s.
Yeah, and I mean that's for measuring jump distance, but I mean, in order to keep the competition fair between the skiers, there's a lot of technology involved in the boats as well, so far as speed control and making sure that every single competitor gets an equal pull at either 54 kilometers an hour, which is about 33.5 miles an hour, or 35 miles an hour, or 57 kilometers an hour for men.
So the speeds are set for the category.
Yes.
You take Hannah when she gets ready to jump. She tells the driver her specifications.
Okay.
And then he plugs it into the computer. So when that boat is coming down through the course, it has timing. Best way to say it is timing gates
in the boat.
Yes.
Okay.
Programmed into the program, and all these buoys and these timing gates are shot in with a transit, so you make sure they're in the right place. So when that boat's going down through the course pulling Hannah, it's got to get accurate times. And if it doesn't get accurate times and she has a really incredible jump, she won't get credit for it. But the technology is so good that doesn't happen very often. It did happen this weekend at one of the largest tournaments in the world called the Masters that she just won for 3 years in counting. She was unfortunately in a situation where she landed and they didn't get the picture of the jump. So she was in a situation of having to wait. They tried to find it because the equipment allowed you to go back. They never did get it. And 10 minutes later, she's in a position of having to take a reride. In her case, it worked out okay because she went out, and the next jump she won the event and was able to come in. But those kind of things don't happen very often. But there is so many layers of technology, it can happen.
So as an athlete, what runs through your head when you know you just did a phenomenal run and the technology is now the barrier to your ranking?
Yeah, of course, it's very disappointing. Sometimes it makes advantage for a skier when you didn't do well and you get a reride, or sometimes it can go the other way. But it's always stressful, and it gets you out of your comfort zone, out of your willingness to do your run. But you can't control it, so sometimes it happens, and you just gotta do what you have to do.
Yeah, do a rerun, I guess.
Yeah.
I got many comments from people that watched it, commenting to me how well she handled the pressure and made the right decisions and got the job done. So it does add another layer of complexity to her trying to win an event, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, you're not just talking about a single frame in time. You're talking about an entire run that has to be. And then how long does the run typically take?
Well, it depends. In jumping, we have 3 jumps. It's like non-stop. You get out on the water, 3 jumps. It takes about 6 minutes. In tricks, we have 2 passes. You go off the dock, you do a 20-second trick pass, you run, and then you stop at the end, you switch your equipment, you do second run, 20 seconds run. And in slalom, you basically stop at every pass to shorten the rope until you're done, you're not completed the pass. Okay. So it's different for every event.
But so far as our sport is concerned, with the night jump event, I do stress it's a night jump event, because we have the distance measurements, we have the speed control, but the X factor with this event is it's held at night, and that throws a whole other set of situations into the mix as well, because the difference. You're out on the road in the daytime, and it's light, and you know what speed you're driving. Take the daylight out of it, and your depth perception is all skewed a little bit, and everything feels that much faster, that much quicker. That's the situation between daytime jumping and nighttime jumping.
That's a great point, because that's why we call it an extreme event. And because she has done it many times, she can answer it. You have a different heart rate at night when you're going across into hit a red surface, 14 feet wide at 60, 65 mile an hour. And guys, because her boat speed is 33 mile an hour, but she does what we call a double cut. So she's wide of the boat and actually slings herself across. So she can double the boat speed if she cuts hard enough. So you can imagine in the daytime, the timing of that versus now, even though stadium lights, even though you can see, it's a whole different deal. And so I think the heart rate on everybody goes way up, and that's why it's considered an extreme event. And along with all the other activities that we have barefooting, we have trick skiing, we have head-to-head slalom, where the 2 best guys from the preliminaries during the day will go head-to-head. One will go down, make a pass, then the next one will come. And then he goes back the other way until somebody misses a buoy, and they're doing it in the dark too. So that's the element, like Tony said, that really changes the perplexity of how hard it is to compete at night.
So how do you go about training for something like that? Do you train at night? You put blindfolds on? I mean, what do you do?
Yeah, that's a great question. But basically, most sites, if they do night events, and there's not a lot of night events, they're going to let you have a practice the night before.
Okay.
So our goal is always to get the lighting the best we can for Friday night, and then they get the opportunity to go out. A lot of times the skiers will get in the boat and just go out and go up and down the lake in the boat and take a visual. Some of the skiers feel better about actually getting behind the boat and getting a picture from what it looks like on their skis. But there's not a lot of practice when it comes to night skiing.
Yeah, I mean, that's got to just change every single thing.
Yeah.
But without exception, whenever those competitors come in, whether it be women, whether it be men, normally the first thing that they say is how much of a rush it is to jump at night. All that adrenaline coursing through your veins.
Do you remember the first time you did your first night jump?
think so, yeah. It just everything feels fast and yeah, it's different.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure you've done the course many a times during the day, and then that first time at night, you're like, wait, why is the boat going so fast?
Yes, exactly.
But it's really a neat event. Great spectator appeal, fun atmosphere, kind of what we do in Louisiana.
Yeah.
A festival type atmosphere. We got our adult beverages. We got things for the kids. A lot of music. Bands playing on the Budweiser stage. And we open the gates at 5:30. And there's preliminary things going on before the show starts. And then, like I said earlier, about a 3-hour show, and we're good to go. We got lemonade, and we got cotton candy, and we got food trucks, and all the things people want at a festival. So,
how does the turnout been the last 2 years?
We'll go all the way back to 2012, where we started building 2008 up to the point of 2013, I think was the last one. When you create a venue and you have repetition, it gets better and better and better. If it's a good venue, people say, hey, you got to make this next year. So we're now in the third year. The other question or concern is always the weather. Okay?
Right.
So this is our third year. Our crowds have been growing again after a lapsing period of time of doing the event. Last year we had a little bad luck. We had probably 1,000 people in at this time. The gates were open. Had a good flow coming, and guess what? We had a storm. So when the storm hit, the downside and the disappointing part, to me, I feel like the success of any event is based on the number of people that come to watch it, because it's so exciting for the athlete to have people screaming and hollering and pulling for them. So we were done with people coming in the gate, but what did make me feel good is the majority of those people did go back to their car, and it was like a 45-minute storm, and it was a pretty good one. And most of them went back to their car and came back. So we ended up having a good event for that night, but I think we'd have had a really, really good crowd. I don't like to over-exaggerate numbers,
Right.
but back when we were building it, we did have as many as 5,000 or so people there.
That's impressive.
So it's pretty packed.
Yeah. I mean, that's to be that packed at an event is incredible.
Yeah. I would consider, if the weather's good, I don't think I'd be exaggerating for us to have 1,500, 2,000 people.
Which is still great.
Yeah. Things like this really help us. We appreciate the opportunity to talk about the event. We're limited on marketing dollars on how to get to the public, but this is one way that we do it, and it helps us a lot, and we appreciate it.
Well, it goes to the real reason for putting on the event, right? You don't want to spend the dollars to promote it when you're trying to get as much as you can for the prize pool.
Yeah.
You know, to have these athletes be able to still compete and still have the sport go on.
I'm such I value the success of the event based on how well we market it and how many people come to it. And third year is just kind of like the ski school. You come the first year and you enjoy it and you like it and you tell your buddies and you come back. So this is the third year, and everybody's telling their friends. All the sponsors are helping get the word out to their customer base, and we do what marketing we can do. Mm-hmm. But we do a lot of social media marketing. We do a lot of one-on-one marketing, and we're fortunate to have several people that allow us to do podcasts like you guys. So it really helps.
So on the sponsoring part, y'all are like the Mastercraft dealer to go to here. How did that come about?
Well, when I started the ski school, and that's actually 1977, went on paper in 76, you got to have boats.
Right.
And before we were actually dealers, we would purchase a boat, and the manufacturers watched what we did with the ski school, and then they were always interested in creating boat sales. So in the early days, we would handle several different lines of boats, mainly because we were a training center. And you would go to one tournament, have one brand of boat, go to another tournament, have another brand of boat. And then in about 1991, I decided to go exclusive with the company Mastercraft, and we've been exclusive with them ever since. So the boat business, in my opinion, gained strength off of the ski school clientele. And we built that year in and year out. So the percentage of the boats that are sold in the boat business are from clientele of the ski school. So that's kind of how it worked.
Yeah, because it's a different pull behind a different boat.
Yeah. They're sport-specific boats for water sports. And even a company like Mastercraft that maybe has 9 or 10 different models, they have similar abilities. And so you talk to the customer and you find out what works best for that person, for that family, what their needs are going to be. And then we have the specific ski boats that we use in ski school every day. And we also have a wakeboard boat in the water that does what we need to do for that sport. So the boats are pretty universal, but some of them are very sport specific.
Yeah, I mean, we've got my in-laws have a Mastercraft ski boat, and we'll go out and my wife will ski and I'll wakeboard, and it's
not what you want.
It's not what I want, but it's what she's after, and they're able to do all of that. And her cousin, I think, competed at Auburn in ski and slaloming, and so it's fit their family need because they were the skiers.
There are different apparatuses that you can look into that can help you with creating what you want for wakeboarding. They've got different apparatuses that actually hook on the side of the boat with suction cups, and then we have ballast systems and stuff like that. You know, it takes a little effort to put them on the boat, but you can make that boat better.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you to our wonderful sponsor, Lake Men's Health Center with Our Lady of the Lake Physicians Group. Guys, I know it's tough to get out and go to the doctor. I know it's challenging to find time in our busy days, but I promise you, signing up to be a part of this group with Dr. Curtis Chastain and Dr. Tyler Boudreau, you won't regret it for several reasons, but most of those being the fact of the time it saves, where you're able to get in on the same day, get that appointment done, and spend that time you need to talk with them about what your health goals and concerns are, as well as ensuring that the financial investments you have, you will be able to live out and see those come to fruition. So if you're an investing guy, you know all about and planning for the future and investing in the future. There's no other more important thing to invest in than your health. Make sure you go check them out, Our Lady of the Lake Physicians Group Men's Health Center, and tell them Patty G sent you.
So as y'all are going through and designing all this stuff, what's upcoming, what's to come of the ski school itself? Are y'all just kind of seeing everything keeping moving, or is some stuff in the works to expand offerings, blinds, etc.?
We have a facility out there, 63 acres. So we do have other things we do. We have 5 cottages. We do some rentals. We do fraternity and sorority parties.
Okay.
Yeah. We have the ability to do private parties for businesses and birthdays. So that's another area that the facility can be used, but it's also another area that you have to cultivate that business. And the only way you cultivate that business is by connections and going and talk with people and letting them know that's available. And it is available, but it hadn't been where our thought process and our direction has been. We're still very focused on the continuation, not necessarily the growth, but the consistency of what we do year in, year out with the ski school. And we're starting to think about a little bit more diversity, a little bit different types of programs. But in any business, you've got to be prepared to what I call switch gears, change gears, go and add to your menu per se. And so we're always looking at that. We're pretty solid doing where we are right now.
And I mean, to that point as well, I mean, we had a group of folks from Canada who were here representing their province in their adaptive water ski program.
Okay.
Which is amazing.
What is that?
Explain.
Basically, wheelchair-bound athletes and those that are visually impaired,
Okay.
among a whole myriad of adaptive specialties that are out there, you know. And I mean, we basically lay on a special week for them to all come down. You know, we have to make certain accommodations, of course, because it is an adaptive group. It's wheelchair bound, you know. But these guys, oh man, they're amazing, aren't they, Jay?
It's not an area of our expertise.
Yeah.
It's hard work, but it's incredibly rewarding. And because of our ability as coaches, we can adapt to that type of training. But for you to see what some of these people can do is absolutely amazing. And this Canadian group is some of their world team members. They go over the ski jumps on their sit skis. They do tricks like we do in trick skiing, just a little bit different variety. It's amazing what they can do.
That's incredible. I mean, to have something like that is just...
So we do a lot of different things.
Yeah, and just imagine the one or two people that we had who are visually impaired. I mean, being able to feel out the wakes and be able to cut across side to side, and also being in communication with the person in the boat using a two-way radio strapped to their helmet.
So are they the visually impaired? Are they jumping, or are they just doing tricks and slalom?
Most of them are slalom skiing.
Okay.
But we do have them that go over the ramp also. It's a system. They have a guide.
Mm-hmm.
They do a countdown, let them know when they're going to hit the ramp, but they can make it over the ramp and landing right away
That's impressive.
without any eyesight.
Yeah. Wow. That's awesome. So
that kind of puts your own some of your own problems and concerns into perspective very, very quickly.
yeah, seeing people do that and compete at that level, you're like, okay, no matter what you got going on, it's not that.
That's it. How true.
So, well, thank you all for coming on. I appreciate it. Before we get out of here, though, we do have a set list of questions we ask every guest. So I'm going to tailor it to each of y'all because y'all are hitting 3 different areas here, which I love. So we'll start with you. And what are 3 lessons you've kind of gathered throughout your skiing career that you wish you had known starting out?
Well, it's more life lessons than ski lessons.
Life lessons work.
Because I was always in water skiing and in sport. I guess communication, be open to people, willing to learn new and like be open-minded. I guess that.
I love it. I love it. So 3 lessons in your career so far.
3 lessons in my career, just be receptive, be respectful, and just be passionate.
I love it.
Those are great questions. The first thing comes to mind, because I'm a coach, is you never quit learning as a coach. No matter how many years experience, no matter how much success you have with a particular person, things are always revolving in the coaching world, so you need to be open-minded and always pay attention to what's going on in the sport. Number 2 is the amount of discipline it takes to be able to coach at this level. You're making a tremendous sacrifice with the time that you spend with the particular person that you're coaching, and it takes away from a lot of other things that you do, your business, your travel, your family, those kind of things. And then probably for me, the number 1 thing is learning patience.
Yes.
Because your patience are pushed to the limit, because every person you coach has a different personality and a different upbringing. And Hannah has been my project for the last 5 years, and she's the first one that I put that much time into that was not American. So there was a lot to learn. But we do great now, but it was challenging for her, and it was challenging for me. So those are the 3 things that I can bring to the table on that.
Yeah, patience is huge. I think it took me 2 to 3 hours to get up on a wakeboard for the first time.
Yeah, and it's a huge thing that goes on Lake 3, which is the lake that I typically coach on over at Bennett's, because those are the first timers. Those are the ones that are learning how to ski and wakeboard and do whatever else that they want to for the very first time. And sometimes it doesn't go great right from the get go. But having enough patience and having enough confidence and in your ability to coach and be able to make changes on the fly, to get the person to where they are, to where they want to be, that requires all the patience of the saint.
Well,
Yeah.
Go back to your situation where you love wakeboarding and you get out there. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter if you're Hannah or if it's you or some of our students. The number 1 thing to remember is you always need to enjoy the sport and have fun.
Oh, yeah.
And if you don't keep it in that proximity of thought, you can become very, very unhappy, because it's a tough sport and it takes a lot of patience. But have fun with it.
Yeah, and it's a sport that requires practice and effort. And to your point, you have to enjoy doing it at all levels, whether you're just trying to figure out how to get up on two skis and then learning the art of dropping and so on and so forth. It's a very fun sport because you're outdoors, you're typically with family, and you're having a good time.
Yep.
So what is something that y'all love about Louisiana? You know, both of y'all not being from the States and being here at skiing school with Jay and everybody. What's something that, we'll start with you,
It's
Hannah.
good questions for them to answer.
What's something that you love about Louisiana?
Let's see what they say, huh?
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, water skiing brought me here, and I still love it.
So what's something non-water skiing related that you love about Louisiana?
Seafood, probably. Seafood is good. I went to a few games at LSU.
Enjoyed that,
football, basketball, college. The atmosphere of the college sports. All the people attend the games. That's so much fun. We don't have that back home. Yeah.
I'll take that. Seafood and the sports. Those are very good reasons, by the way.
Well, Hannah came into this country and skied for the Warhawks of Louisiana Monroe. I skied for the Raging Cajuns of Louisiana Lafayette. So that's what brought me into this world right here. And I would basically mirror what Hannah just said, you know, the seafood, the sports, you know. But I would say on top of all of that, the hospitality and the warmth of the people here in South Louisiana is beyond compare.
So how do we level up? You compete globally. How do we level up across the globe at some other events that you go to?
That's a very, very tricky question, you know, because I don't see the need for leveling up, to be honest with you.
Okay.
I mean, because we are what we are here in South Louisiana.
Variety's a great thing.
Yeah, so it's just a different culture when you compete here versus anywhere else.
Oh, absolutely, no doubt about it.
We're very big on festivities.
Yes,
we like our food, we like our music, we like our drinks. That's probably the biggest difference that I see consistently from traveling different places. And he travels a lot more than I do now, but you know, from your culture to Belarus to what you see and what you like to do here, the similarities of enjoying the sports and things like that.
You know, I mean, we may not be the richest out of all of the states, out of the 50 states in the union, but let me ask you a question. Would you rather buy a po' boy from Florida or buy a po' boy from Louisiana?
Great question.
If they have a restaurant in Florida that's selling po' boys, I'm just gonna go the other way, unless it's somebody like Rocco. Yeah, unless it's like a Rocco's other brand of New Orleans po' boys, you know, then I'm gonna stop on by. Yeah. It depends on who runs the joint. If it's not a Louisianan, it's not a po' boy.
You can go just about any states now, get Louisiana cooking, if they're from Louisiana. And crawfish, they all want the crawfish.
They all want the crawfish. Yep. And I tell you, we went to Canada for a trip one time, and they had gumbo. And when they brought it out, they were like, "All right, now it's a little spicy." And we all kind of looked at them.
We're from Louisiana.
We're from Louisiana. I think it'll be okay.
Pass me the Tabasco.
Exactly. I'm going to feed it to my 9-month-old son. You know, like it's going to be okay.
Great point.
So for the final question, what can I do to help y'all?
You're doing it right now. Really appreciate the time we got to spend here with you. Great questions. Glad that you're a guy that's out there on the water.
Absolutely. I love it.
Only thing you got to do now, you got to come out and go with us sometimes.
I do, because I bought my wakeboard from y'all.
Well,
so I need to come back and
you got the inside now. You got the guys that'll get you on the water.
Perfect.
Just have your kids tell other kids, you know, and get them on board as well. You know, I mean, our ski school thrives on more and more youngsters coming in. You know, like the very same youngsters that come out and watch LA Night Jam during the night time and feel inspired that, you know, I can try something like that. Give it a try.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, because it's absolutely incredible what y'all do. I can't go anywhere near the same water that you ski on, just because of the amazing talent and the stuff that you do that I've seen on your social media is incredible, by the way.
Thank you.
That's just a testament of the school, and to be such
thank you.
a world-renowned facility that y'all have created over the years is incredible. And I can't wait to see the next decades and decades of success.
Well, we're trying to keep it going.
Well, thank you all so much for coming on the show. I
Thank
really
you.
appreciate it. Thank you, everybody else, for listening or watching. We're going to put the link in the description for the upcoming event, and y'all come out there. It's a very fun, family-filled event. Doors open at 5:30. What's the date of it again?
It's
June 8th.
June 8th. Okay, June 8th,
We're a week and a
5:30
half
till
out, yep.
11:30. That's right. So this will air before the event. Y'all come out, check it out, and have a good family fun. So this has been the latest episode of the Patty G Show. I'm your host, Patty G. We're out.